Hello and welcome to the first and best dedicated channel about Kitsumon. My name is Mike, and before we start today's video about Geodite, I just wanted to say thank you. Thank you for watching my videos, thank you for liking and subscribing and commenting on my videos, because all of that aids in getting those videos out to more people who do not know about Kitsumon yet, and numbers is what we need. We need more people. So thank you very much for your support. I love all of you. Keep watching, keep supporting the channel, keep supporting Kitsumon as a project. And maybe there is something you can do as well. You could start tweeting about Kitsumon or creating fan art or whatever you're good at. Because while the team has the most important job by developing the game, we as a community can do so much to help it grow. And I would love to see more community content. We even have a dedicated channel on the Discord for community content, and I would love to see more of the people in our community being active and collaborating with me or with other people. I'm sure there are a million ways for us to get the word of Kitsumon out there and impress more people. So if you have the time and the resources, why not just try it? Oh, and by the way, if you're new to the Kitsumon project, I don't know if you've seen it already, but the official potion sale is live. So for the breeding function, which will be live soon as well, you need breeding potions to combine Kitsus and create offsprings. And the sale of those potions is already live. And the team provided us with referral links. And if you buy through them, you can support me and my channel, because I will get a small percentage of the revenue of the potions you buy. So if you want to support me, please consider buying potions through my link, which you will find in the description. Thank you. Now, with that being said, let's start the video. I'm very excited to see the abilities of Geodite because it is one of my absolute favorites. When I saw the concept, I was blown away. It looks absolutely bonkers and I can't wait. So let's dive right into it. Let's go. So Geodite belongs to the uncommon segment of Kitsus with 750 NFTs in existence. So only 750 Geodites will ever exist on the blockchain. Let's jump to the elements. We have Earth and Light. And let's start with Earth. The Earth element is strong against fire, lightning, and air. But if you have an Earth Kitsu, you will have a tough time dealing damage to steel elements because they have a resistance. If you switch to defense, let's look at that. We have Earth over here. 1, 2, 3, 4 elements can deal increased damage to you. The first one being steel, and ice, nature, and water also can deal increased damage to your Earth Kitsu. Only Mana Kitsus will be at a disadvantage when damaging you. The second element of Geodite is light. And there's also a lightning element, but those two are not the same. Light is not lightning, so don't get those two mixed up. Light deals increased damage to ice, void, and shadow, or dark, and has a tough time against mana type Kitsus, so they will deal less damage to mana Kitsus. When we take a look at the defense, we have 3 elements that can deal increased damage to light. Those are nature, psychic, and void. And the shadow or dark element has a disadvantage when dealing damage to light. And now let's finally head over to the abilities. The first one being Focused Light. Geodite shoots a ray of light at the targeted opponent. If it hits, the enemy is blinded for a short period of time. Is this a single target spell? It shoots light at the targeted opponent. This looks like you can directly aim at an opponent, so that would speak for a single target attack. But then it says if it hits, the enemy is blinded. So maybe it is not a single target ability. Or it can be dodged. We don't know. Nonetheless, blinding is a very nice ability because you basically negate any damage output of enemy damage dealing Kitsus who auto attack. I don't know if the blinding in Kitsumon will be the same as in every other MOBA, or the blinding debuff will have some extra benefits like reduced vision in general, or just the common use of blinding so that the auto attacks miss 100%. Next up we have Nether Shards. Using its earth manipulating powers, Geodite conjures up shards of nether and shoots them in the targeted direction to damage any enemies hit. Damage is increased if Geodite has a defensive ability activated. So if you are a Pokemon Unite player, this sounds a bit like one of the starting spells of Sylveon, for example, where you create stars and they just fly in one direction and damage the enemy if it hits. So a nice addition here is if you have defensive ability activated, it deals more damage. Let's see what the defensive abilities are. Next one is Reflective Light. Geodite manipulates light and briefly creates a panel in front of itself that reflects any projectiles that come into contact with it. Okay, I guess this is one of the defensive abilities. Sounds like an amazing ability. The question here again is, does it only count for auto attacks of ranged Kitsus? Or if it also blocks, or in that case reflects, spells? That would be amazing. And probably overpowered. Well, for now we don't know, so it's all speculation. Let's wait for the final ability description with all the stats. Next up we have Earth Shield. Another defensive ability, I guess. Geodite shapes earth around itself to create a powerful shield that briefly reduces the damage it takes from all sources. So, classic shield that reduces damage. I mean, what more can I say? It's a nice ability. Reducing damage is always nice. Next ability is called Diamond Hard. Hardens itself to temporarily become immune to crowd control. We don't know the full spectrum of crowd control so far, but the things we know that are existing are blinding, slowing and stunning. So you become immune to those three and probably more. Nice ability, especially for a tanky kind of Kitsu, which Geodite apparently is, because it has amazing blocking and shielding abilities so far. So yeah, it synergizes really well with the playstyle of Geodite. Being in the front line and being immune to crowd control really helps. Next up we have Geode. Geodite fully envelopes itself inside a geode for a few seconds and becomes unable to move or cast abilities, but also gains full immunity to all damage. While inside of the geode, Geodite gathers its strength. When the geode disappears, Geodite will receive a damage buff for a short period of time. Okay, so the first thing I notice here is for a few seconds. You go into kind of stasis and become unable to move or being damaged or casting abilities. So you're basically useless. But you're immune to damage, any kind of damage. This is very, very powerful, but also very dangerous, because if you time this wrong, your team might retreat and you're there in your little geode and the enemy team gathers around you, and yeah, well, when the geode disappears, you're basically... It's a nice ability to block or negate damage, obviously, but also risky. But I think this is good, because if you have a powerful ability like that, completely become immune to damage, you need some kind of downside to make up for that. So I think it's good that you need to commit for a few seconds to become immune. The question is, can you cancel it prematurely? For example, if the full duration would be 3 seconds, could you cancel it after 1 second and only get like 33% of the damage buff you would receive if you would stay in the geode for the full duration? Next up we have Crystal Lattice. Creates a devastating wave of crystals that shoot out of the ground in a wide area, damaging and slowing any enemies hit. The crystals stay active for a few seconds in the area. If Geodite shoots focused light at a crystal, it will refract the light into all directions. These refractions can hit more crystals, creating a massive array of light rays that briefly blind any enemies they hit. Okay, so this is an amazing ability if you want to blind the whole enemy team at once. The question is, if you shoot focused light at the crystal and it refracts, does this refraction also deal damage or does it only blind? Because I think blinding is enough. I think dealing damage as well would be a bit overpowered, because there's basically no way to evade it, because it sounds like there are a lot of crystals on the ground. So nice ability with nice synergy. It's also useful in itself without the focused light spell with the regards to breeding. So it's not completely useless if you do not have the focused light ability, but it is a nice addition if you have both. They synergize really well. Lastly, we have the Netherdragon. Geodite transforms into the Netherdragon, growing crystal wings and spewing sharp nether rocks for a terrifying aerial assault. This is obviously the transformation ability, which will be covered in a different video. So let's head over to the passive abilities. The first one being Rare Find. This Kitsu's sparkling brilliance attracts riches to you. Your chance to find rare rocks while mining is increased. Okay, that sounds very cool. Obviously, this is a profession passive. So if you are taking up the mining profession, your chance to find rare rocks is increased. It does not say if the chances are dramatically increased or just by a minor percentage, but anyway, it sounds like a great ability. Next up we have Jackpot. Lady Luck is smiling on this Kitsu. At the start of a race, it randomly gains a different racing passive. Okay, that's very interesting. So the passive is that you get a random passive. I love it and I hate it, for the obvious reason that it's not reliable. I mean, it could be good. It could also go very wrong. I mean, we've seen racing passives who are not reliable in itself. For example, the What a Day passive, which only takes effect when there's nice weather. Imagine you have this passive and there's rainy weather and you get the What a Day racing passive. It is useless. So, I mean, the concept is funny. I like it. I like the idea, but it's quite useless, to be honest. I mean, it's better to have this than no racing passive at all, because you could get lucky and get something amazing. But if I have the choice, I would always try to breed in a way that I get a certain desirable racing passive and not Jackpot. And lastly, for the MOBA, we have Fortress. Its strong body is letting this Kitsu withstand attacks better. Slowing and immobilizing effects are passively reduced. This is the same ability as Neutronic has. And when I made the video about Balimon, I first thought that Fortress and Toughness are the same passive. Because Fortress says, slowing and immobilizing effects are passively reduced. And Toughness says, stuns and slows have a lower duration. Which, in my opinion, sound like the same thing. It sounds very similar. So maybe there is a bit of a difference, or maybe it's the same thing with just a different name. But nonetheless, it's a very nice ability, especially for a frontliner like Geodite. So what do I think about Geodite? From what we've seen so far, I think Geodite is the perfect image of a classic tank, because it can shield itself, it can make itself invulnerable, It even can reflect attacks, maybe even spells, we don't know that. And yeah, blind enemies. So it's going to be very annoying to go up against a skilled Geodite player who knows exactly when the time is right to go into stasis to avoid damage, or when to shield itself, or when to blind the enemies in critical moments. I can see that Geodite is going to be a very, very frequent pick, and also very much sought after when it comes to breeding, because the abilities are amazing on its own. They do not depend on each other that much. They can be very useful without each other. So that's a very big plus. And also the passives are nice. Well, maybe except for the racing passive, because as I said, I'm not a huge fan of that. But it's better than having no passive at all. So all in all, I think Geodite is extremely, extremely cool. Not only the looks, but also the abilities. I'm also very curious to find out more about the transformational abilities. And as I said, we'll cover that in a separate video. So make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell to not miss this video once it goes live, or any other videos I upload in the future. Thank you for watching. Let me know in the comments what you think about Geodite. As always, have a great day, and I see you in the Kitsumon Metaverse.